to the microphone so we need really good audio. We might, if we need to, we might do this hand signal. If you know,
I'm glad you came here
that
today.
needs to go a little slower.
Interesting to hear what
If you
these
see
people
us
have to
do
say.
it, just take a breath, maybe repeat the last thought because we may have missed it, and then continue a little bit slower. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So we'll do,
Test, test. Are you ready to rock and roll?
so we're going to, Harry Black and Steve Bravo are the moderators tonight. They'll be sitting right there. You'll have an opening statement of 2 minutes, and then all question responses are 1 minute. I'm going to be sitting right here with the Wicca,
Coming home to
you know, and so just, note when it's time to stop.
You guys have been through this already.
Yeah.
Before. Everyone's.
And everybody has what they need.
Yeah.
Water.
Yeah.
If there's any issues with any of the mics, I just ask that maybe you share with your neighbor. There was a little bit of sound things earlier, so I just don't want to hold anything. Does anyone have questions or need anything before we get going? About 1.5 hours, so until 8 p.m.
Yeah, but I have to be on my
Okay. Okay. Yes. And we'll make sure you're out right on time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
just sorting out some technical issues, so we'll be starting in just a few minutes. Okay, welcome everyone. Hi, I'm Annie Shaka, chair of the journalism department at Contra Costa College. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Tonight's Meet the Candidates Forum, as well as the upcoming forums for City Council Districts 3 and 4, are co-hosted by the Advocate of Contra Costa College, Richmondside, Richmond Confidential, and UC Berkeley's School of Journalism, and we thank them for their work supporting these forums. Thank you. During tonight's forum, I don't know if I'm too close to the speaker, we will communicate in English and Spanish. We invite all monolingual Spanish speakers to take a headset for interpretation. If you need a headset and haven't picked one up already, Ladna and Noemi in the back will set you up right back there. So they're waving. Communicating equitably across languages requires capturing meaning, completeness, and cultural nuances. This is hard work and it's collective work. And to bring equity to our communication into Spanish, it's important that we observe some principles that foster clear communication. So, we ask that when you are speaking, including our candidates, speak at a moderate pace, do not speak over each other, and speak directly into the mic. That's for you all, and also you when you're asking questions, community members. Here's how tonight will work. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves. Our moderators behind me will then ask all the candidates questions written by our journalists and submitted by Richmond residents. Responses are limited to 1 minute, and then we will open up questions from the audience. Raise your hand and we'll be walking around with a mic, or you can hand us, there are some question cards on the chairs on some of the end seats here. If you need an extra card, we have some volunteers walking around. One more reminder that tonight's forum is being live streamed and recorded, and a recording will be available after the event. If you want to watch it again, or if you know people who couldn't be here, maybe they're watching the big governors forum, feel free to send that to them. The video will be available at richmondside.org. All right, I would like to remind everyone to silence their phones, please, including our candidates. And I would like to remind candidates to refrain from using their phones during the forum. And are there any questions about the process so far? Okay, I'm going to introduce our candidates and we can get on with the show. Please welcome our candidates. We have Ahmad Anderson, Claudio Jimenez, Demlis Johnson, Eduardo Martinez, and Mark Wasberg. And our moderators tonight are Richmondside's editor-in-chief, Carrie Hulak, and Richmond Confidential editor, Christine Shibo. I will now hand it over to Carrie. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie. Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here this evening, audience and candidates. Before we begin, we ask the candidates and the audience members to respect each other's time and to not interrupt. We also ask that you follow the rules of civil discourse, keeping your tone non-confrontational and your language respectful. We will start out this evening by allowing each candidate 2 minutes to introduce themselves. We'll go in alphabetical order. So Ahmad Anderson, we'll start with you.
Good evening, and thank you, Richmondside. Excuse me. Good evening, and thank you, Richmondside, and those stakeholders that are part of this process and community, present and online. Ahmad Anderson, running for mayor. I've been a resident in your city for 66 years. I'm running not based upon the fact that I'm just a resident here, but I'm running because I'm concerned about leadership, integrity, accountability, and making sure that leadership is people-centered focused. I'm running because I've demonstrated that type of leadership in bringing jobs to the city of Richmond, hiring folks from the city of Richmond. I'm concerned also about housing, not just affordable housing, but reasonable housing. And most importantly, a great foundation of public safety, which is not just about staffing, it's about prevention, youth programs, and making sure folks feel safe, respected, and protected in our community. I've been around for some time, involved in economic development leadership, involved in youth services, Youth Service Bureau, working families, Child Care Council, NAACP, Goodwill Interest of the Greater East Bay. But most importantly, I'm your neighbor. I experience the same things you experience no matter where you live in the city. I want you to know that as your next mayor, I'm not only your voice, but as collective voices, our collective actions, it matters. Make sure you know that when I'm up there, you're up there, ensuring that we truly are a city of pride and purpose. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Claudia Jimenez.
Buenas noches, gracias por estar aquí. Good evening, and thank you for being here. My name is Claudia Jimenez, City Council in District 6. And I am running because we have a real opportunity to become a city of the future. A green economy, good paying jobs, a housing people can afford, a city with safe streets, walkable neighborhoods, and parks where kids and families can thrive. A city where artists and local business bring life to our downtown here. I believe in a Richmond where people don't just get by, but thrive. That means affordable housing at every income level, union jobs, and bold investment in our future, including modernizing our port for the green economy. This is my vision, and I think it's the vision of many of us. The question is, who can deliver it? Let me share what we had already done to move it forward. We stabilized our finances, got out of predatory loans, and saved millions, and now we can invest more in the services our communities need. We renovated parks across our city, improving lighting, play structures, and gathering spaces. And we have ready to go further, partnering with community organizations like Rising Juntos to transform Nicole Park into a true sport and recreation hub and upgrading parks all over the city. We are fixing sidewalks and making the ADA accessible because dignity and access matter. We invest just in the last minute $6 million in traffic safety to improve our streets to be more safety. So thank you so much, and I will hope to answer questions.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Demlis Johnson.
Thank you. And thank you to the organizers of this event, and thank you to the audience, our community members, for coming out and sharing in this important conversation. As mentioned, my name is Dimlis Johnson III, and I am your candidate for Mayor of Richmond, California. I'm a former Richmond City Council member, as well as a former Vice Mayor of the City of Richmond. I'm a graduate of Howard University, as well as I hold a master's degree from UC Berkeley's Goldman School of Public Policy. I'm a fourth-generation Richmond resident, which means that I'm not only a son of Richmond, I am a grandson of Richmond, I am a great-grandson of Richmond. I am Richmond, California. I am the Rooted in Richmond candidate, fighting for all of Richmond and its residents. My platform is a community-centered and developed platform that includes housing, economic development, public safety at a holistic approach. I think this is back. Thank you. And improving the quality of life for all residents here in the city of Richmond. Once again, thank you, and I hope to earn your vote on June 2nd.
Next up, we'll hear from Eduardo Martinez.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to wear this when I'm not speaking. But thanks to all of you who put this together, and for those of you who came to participate in this fantastic event of learning who is interested in making sure that our city continues the fantastic work that we've been doing for the past 4 years. I'm the incumbent. I've been mayor for 4 years. Before that, I was city council for 8 years. Before that, I was an elementary school teacher. I taught at Downer Elementary and Sheldon Elementary. I am a good communicator. I know how to bring people together, which is a major issue when you're heading the city of Richmond. We have made great advancements. If you've gone down Carlson Avenue, you will see solar lights that have just gone up. If you go across the bridge from Pennsylvania to Rumriel, you will see solar lights that lights up the bridge. And we have to also thank community members such as Tootie Mayer, who put the lights up on 8th Street from Bogo Park all the way to Ohio. So we are beautifying the city. We're making it much better for pedestrians, for bike riders. We just got an award last night for the Bay Trail. So we're being recognized not only here in the city, but we're being recognized statewide and nationwide. We are the only city that in California that is part of the World War II Historic Society. That is something that happened under my leadership. So I want to make Richmond a destination, and everything that I'm doing is to improve the economy, to improve housing, to improve the day-to-day life of all of us. So being a school teacher, I am interested in parks. I'm interested in recreation. So consider me. Thank you.
And finally, Mark Wasberg.
1, 2. Yeah, I was raised in San Pablo, worked in Richmond here all my life, worked in the refineries, the factories, worked at Chevron, then became an auto technician for about 15, 20 years. Then I got involved with the violence here in 2004 when all this stuff was coming down. I helped the reverends and ministers, made a documentary about it. I had no plans on running in the first place. But when I found out what Martinez did, on this anti-Semitism stuff, preaching hate and violence against the world, and this is why Jimenez is running, because now you got the RPA fighting against each other. And you got the 2 other candidates, they're going to split the vote. The RPA is going to split the vote. So I thought, well, I'm just going to go give it a shot. So I might just get enough votes to shoot up right up the middle. Yeah, and I said, well, I'm just going to do it. But like I say, you don't put people in office that's going to support people being criminals. And all this ICE things that's coming up, they're going to pass a law banning ICE. They think they're going to stop the federal government for enforcing Constitution federal law. This is the most dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. You cannot have a city council that's going to tell the police not to enforce the law, Because we know for a fact, you go back and do your history, that the RPA, the city council, told the police chief, do not arrest these people. Stop the checkpoints because these people have the right to drive illegally. They have the right to break the law. You don't do this stuff when you take a note to the Constitution. And the RPA, they even hate our government. Not one time they even respect any of our laws. If you take a note to the Constitution, you better back it up. But you got Jimenez, you got Aguado. I said, they hate America. Why do you think he was out there preaching all this hate and violence against the world?
Okay, thank you. Now Christine and I will alternate asking questions. Again, let me remind the candidates, speak at a moderate pace, keep your responses to 1 minute, and pay attention to our lovely timekeeper up front. I'll go ahead and lead it off. Again, these questions are for all the candidates to answer. You'll have your turn. Richmond entered into a 10-year, $550 million settlement with Chevron in 2024. It remains undecided how that money will be spent. What should the city's next steps be? And we can start with Ahmad.
Thank you. First and foremost, I think that's great that we were able to be able to address the polluters. But I think it's important that that money is really applied to the communities that have been impacted the most. Those from Parkchester to Point Richmond, the air quality, those from Iron Triangle to Santa Fe, Atchison Village. And we know that that air quality not only hits Richmond, but it spreads throughout the remainder of West County as well. I think it also needs to be applied to places like Parkchester around infrastructure to be able to address the flooding in the community, look at our traffic routes to improve the environment so that we don't have the emissions problems, which is probably also a great part of that. Largest great amount of the community here are African Americans that suffer from asthma, such as I. I also believe it needs to go into staffing. We spend a lot of time talking about budgets and balancing the budget, but the budget has been basically on the backs of folks where we've reduced our staffing. That's important, and that's a priority for me with that money.
Okay, Claudia.
I am proud to say that I was part of the negotiation bringing that money to Richmond. And the $550 million settlement is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. And first of all, it's essential to hear from the community what they would like to see these investment goals. But also at the same time, while we are balancing the community needs, we also need to make sure that we make financial good investments with that money, because if not, we will burn it and then we don't have that much in the years to come. So how we also think about moving away from that dependency of just one industry. Currently Chevron accounts for about a quarter of the general fund. That is not smart if we continue to pretend that we don't need to diversify our economic. But I also think that we need infrastructure, so it's a balance of all these needs to make sure Richmond thrives. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yes, $550 million over 10 years. We have the opportunity to address a lot of things, but seeing as though this money was won on the backs of individuals who are suffering from health disparities, one of the first things we have to do is address those health disparities, or we'll be right back here. That means working with BACMOD and increasing our monitoring of the air quality in those areas, giving our environmental manager some real teeth to help enforce environmental laws here in the city of Richmond to go after our major polluters, as well as providing help for families in those areas that are suffering from health disparities and not enough money to pay for asthma medicine or treatment. We have to be able to make sure that the people who this settlement was argued, the backs who it was argued on and won on, are taken care of first. I have nothing against taking care of debt settlement or infrastructure, but let's be honest about how this money was obtained and take care of those that it was obtained through.
something that we all seem to forget is that this money isn't a separate fund. It is part of our general fund. And I can't understand why people focus on part of the general fund. We should be looking at the entire general fund and making sure that the entire general fund meets the needs of all the people who are most in need. So I propose that we follow the goals and objectives that the City Council set for the general funds to be spent. And a lot of those goals happen to do with the environment. They happen to do with social justice. They happen to do with economic justice. So it's just a matter of finding the path that, of equality that we need to follow using the entire budget, not just a certain number that was made. I think that's the best path forward.
The purpose of the $500 million was to put Chevron out of business to start all these green small jobs. That was the purpose. That was McLaughlin said it. Now, there's not one person on the city council had anything to do with negotiating that $500 million. If you go ahead and Google it, it'll tell you that these radicals, it was going to go on the ballot, right? So what happened was they knew it was going to lose. So Chevron offered to give the money to the city. If you don't believe me, Google it yourself. It's like I said, Jimenez didn't have anything to do with, to get that $500 million. Now that $500 million needed to be given to the police. The main purpose of a city council is to make sure public safety and infrastructure. That is the main two purposes of a city council and a city government, to make sure the city is safe. Sure, we could have jobs, we could set up job training programs, we could help the environment, but if you did close down Chevron, it still wouldn't stop the air.
Thank you. With this next question, we're going to start with Claudia, work our way down, and end with Ahmad. So the city council has been doing what it can to kind of beef up the sanctuary city laws, but do you think that the city has done enough to protect its undocumented and vulnerable residents?
Gracias por esa pregunta. Thank you for that question. I have been leading in the effort to strengthen the sanctuary city policy. When the city, when Trump administration got there the first time, we strengthened that sanctuary policy. But not only that, we allocated $1 million to provide legal services and know your rights to those more vulnerable. And now I am proud to say that we strengthened the sanctuary with I-free zone in terms of getting more tools to not only the police department, but all the staff to now collaborate with ICE, and that ICE cannot stage here in the city of Richmond. You ask if this is enough. I don't think it's enough. We are in a process of losing healthcare, Medicare, and many, many rights. So I think like we need to not only protect the immigrant community, but all communities that are losing their rights and services. Thank you.
As Councilmember Jimenez mentioned, the city has done a number of things to protect our undocumented residents and strengthen our sanctuary city laws. And I believe that we have to build on that and help with the path to citizenship. From working at Richmond High School and Rocket Ship Public Schools, I've helped put together the citizenship classes and the English-speaking classes so that way our parents and our families can have pathways. And that's something that I would like to bring into our community centers. So that way families have direct access to these pathways. And we will continue to fight and expand our ICE-free zones. Thank you.
I want to give credit where credit is due, and I commend Claudia Jimenez for the work that she's done in terms of how we've moved forward in protecting our citizens from ICE and from deportation. But it takes a team to make this happen. So we've worked together, we've made things happen, and it's not only Latinos who are impacted, it's Nepalese, Tibetans, it's our Muslim brothers who are also impacted. We have a lot of people from the Middle East who are here and who are especially targeted at this time because of the war that our president has created against Iran. So this war not only impacts Iranians, it impacts anyone who appears like a Middle Easterner. So we need to make sure we take care of everyone.
Well, under President Trump, there is no sanctuary city. Even Gavin Newsom could not stop ICE, and the city council is not going to stop ICE because they're going to pass an ordinance that they can't even enforce. The Richmond PD says that they're not going to even get involved. You come into my country illegally, you are a convicted felon and you are a criminal and you will be deported. That's the way our federal law works. We are a nation of law. And all these illegal immigrants are coming in there. They get into our government and try to change our laws. We've seen it in Minnesota. We see it across the country. Now, you think Richmond PD is going to stop ICE when the federal government is overthrowing dictators? I don't think so, because ICE is going to come in here. They're not going to stop nothing. It's just a joke. This ordinance that they're passing is just a joke. You people are going to have to realize they're not going to stop the federal government for enforcing federal law.
So that you people know, as your mayor, anyone who lives in this city will be protected, respected, and safe, first and foremost. Unlike Brother Wasberg, thank you. Unlike Brother Wasberg, let me be very clear. I've been riding a plane for a long time. I was born Ahmad Jamal Anderson. My luggage has been gone through so many times I could write a book on it. A man who's from African descent as a slave that came here not as an immigrant of families, but rolling over in own leftovers at the bottom of a boat, I get it. But I'm also the family of immigrants from Barbados, St. Lucia, and Panama. I stand with everyone in this city to make sure you are protected. We should do more. If you don't think so, turn on your television and look at the administration and what they're doing. It's we, us together that makes a difference.
Thank you. While there are a record low number of homicides in Richmond last year, the city's police force and a civil grand jury report say the department is understaffed. Meanwhile, the city in recent years has spent money expanding its alternative policing programs. Is this the right approach? Why or why not? And this time we'll start with Demlis.
Well, as mayor, I want to make sure that we have equal investment in both the police department, so that way it's not just minimum staffing, but there's full staff. I always tell people we want the police to work in Richmond just like they do in wealthy communities. If someone is attempting to rob you or harm your person, we want the police to be able to not just show up, but take a report and act on those things. But first, we need somebody to answer the phone. Also, when it comes to investing in ONS, when it comes to investing in our mental health responses, we have to have a holistic approach. I'm not going to sit here and say that we're wrong for doing that. Irma Anderson started ONS. This council has invested heavily in ROC. We can't have the police responding to every single situation. As I mentioned, we should have them focus strictly on those crimes that harms individuals directly, as well as robberies, which we've seen an increase of recently. So to answer your question directly, I think that the correct approach would be to have an equal investment in both approaches. Thank you.
I agree that we need all three services. We need ONS, we need ROC, we need the police. And they have their niches. They have their spaces of most influence our capabilities. I talked to ROC members, and they solved some issues between neighbors which could not have been done by the police for two reasons. Number one, the police do not have the time to invest in those issues. Number two, it required a lot of innovation, a lot of creativity, and a lot of compassion. I'm not saying police don't have that, but I am saying police don't have the time to express it in a way that's understandable.
It was the city, hello? It was the city council that defunded the police in 2020 when the BLM rioting was burning down America. So they ended up deciding, well, we don't need the police, so we're going to get rid of the police. So they defunded the police. They came up with this rock stuff. They haven't solved anything because every time there's a 911 call, the police have to come. Half the time they don't even show up because they don't have the people to do it. See, this is why you have no police, is because of the city council did it. And on the low homicide rate, about 99.9% of the homicides was inside the Iron Triangle, North Richmond, and the South Side, in the black community. That's where it was all at. And the reason why they're low, because they just killed each other out. I was there, people. You can't tell me. I was there for 6 years filming these homicides, being with all the activists. I was in the streets. I was with the cops. I was with the gangsters. I was there, people. And this is why you have a low homicide rate.
So my position is, yes, we need a three-pronged approach. I think I've never been about defunding or reallocating, but I've been about structure. Having the skill sets to be addressed, the non-violent crimes, requires the public health, social services. I have the experience of representing the Black Health Bay Area Health Consortium, where we dealt with mental health issues in Contra Costa and Alameda County. I also remember the ONS block captain. Yes, my mother, Irma Anderson, who was mayor here, started that, but I believe we also have to do what we can for our community as well. I sit with other block captains who are having a meeting right now, talking about copper theft, talking about issues throughout the city, sharing that information and communicating it back to our neighbors. But we also, as a conduit, to the police department as well. I'm a person who's worked in diversity, equity, inclusion. I also think we need training in our police department to talk about the trauma that's taking place in the black and brown communities.
Hi. I just wanted, thank you. I just wanted to say 36% of our general fund budget goes to the Richmond Police Department. And we locally with Chief Simmons, we are hiring and filling the vacancies that we no longer have a mandatory overtime. And we will continue to hire the staff that is needed there. But we also recognize that police cannot be resolving all the social problems in our communities. This is why we created a community mental health crisis that now is resolving problems like a person who called me from Parkchester saying that she and her neighbor has a dispute and she was crying. So I called Michael Romero and they are going there and they are doing mediation. And this is what we need also. Office of Neighborhood Safety has proven to decrease gun violence because it's giving opportunities to those who have been in these situations. So we are winning a safety that is not only about just one department, but many departments. We need the park cleans, the streets well maintained. All of that is public safety. Thank you.
Thank you. So we solicited questions from readers, and we want to thank all of you who submitted one because we received many, many more than we can actually ask tonight. But we did select some that we thought were the most relevant and representative. So with this next question, which comes from readers, we're going to start with Eduardo, and we're going to end with Demlis. As mentioned, Chevron's tax revenue is about a quarter of the city's general fund. Many residents are eager to see Richmond plan for a just transition away from a fossil fuel dependent economy. So what is your vision for the city's post-Chevron economic future?
We need to diversify our economy. One of the things I've been working on is revitalizing the port. The port can be an economic engine, and we are trying to do things to make that happen. Right now, we are evaluating the state of the port to see what sorts of improvements need to be made at different levels, because different levels of industry require different levels of infrastructure. So we're trying to look at them all to see which one of them best fits Richmond. Before I became mayor, the Port of Richmond was not even considered for the offshore wind industry. Since then, we have had 2 developers come to Richmond wanting to have a license to be part of the offshore wind industry here in Richmond. Right now, the offshore wind industry is not too strong because of our president, but he's not going to be president for long. When we get a new president, we will move forward in terms of offshore wind.
You lose Chevron, you're going to lose the city of Richmond. Now, they got some dumb idea that they're going to create all these green jobs that's going to take the place of Chevron. It's not going to work. You show me one green job that you can make $90,000 a year. Work all the overtime you want. You show me one green job that's going to do this. Show me one small job. When I was working at Chevron, I was making $1,400 a week, all the overtime I wanted. And they got some dumb idea that they're going to create all this green stuff. The port is not going to be able to hold up the city. These small jobs are not going to be able to put enough revenue into this city. It's going to take small, medium, multi-billion-dollar companies to pay into the system. And you got all these activists coming up here, they want to close down Chevron. You get rid of fossil fuels, the economy is going to totally collapse. Look what happened to Martinez. They closed down a refinery, now the county is hurting for money. They lost about 30% of their taxes. Where the money's going to come from then, huh?
Yeah, as a HR professional, workforce development professional for over 30 years, having worked as a workforce development supervisor of the East Bay for UPS, we've electrified that. I was on the Council of Industries when they came along here. I hired folks in those areas. I also believe that we have an opportunity at Hilltop, an opportunity to build an East Bay Skills Center, which talks about for our health care, for our nurses program, Contra Costa County. It talks about also logistics in that perspective, the trades, as well as the technology. Developing a workforce along with safety in our community where companies feel comfortable bringing their businesses here to be able to support the residents and the region as well. In addition to that, we should be working to really not only educate folks about what we're doing here in Richmond, but also looking to impress the importance of reducing emissions by electrifying our port, working with maritime as well. It's a combination of things, not just one thing. The mayor said we're just starting. He's been there for 12 years. The party has started without you.
Thank you. I agree that we need to have bold investment modernizing the port. It's a deep water port. And I am glad that this city council, and when I got there, started talking about that. Electrification of the port, but it also trying to bring these green manufacturers and green businesses that goes with our values. Like we have the Chamber of Commerce candidate forum, and Verdi, one of the green batteries here, was there. And they are talking about how they can partner with the city more. I think like we also had the opportunity with the McDonald Task Force, which I am part, and Council Member Robinson is part of that, and Mayor Martinez as well, and many other community members to revitalize the downtown, to attract more small businesses, but also housing, because housing is also another part of bringing new revenue to the city. Thank you.
Yeah, most definitely want to think about diversifying Richmond's income. If you rewind some of the forums, I was actually one of the first candidates to talk about diversifying Richmond's income, so that way we don't end up like Benicia or, God forbid, Detroit. And so when we look at things like the Green Empowerment Zone and the 6 sites that are ready for green manufacturing, we need individuals who are willing to step up and step out and fill in the gap when it comes to recruiting those industries to come to the city of Richmond. Also, as you probably heard me say 1,000 times, our 3 main sources of revenue that the city has is our property tax, our business tax, and our utility users tax. We have to expand those sources of revenue through property tax. That means building more homes for purchase, so that way we can get more money back from the county when it comes to our property taxes. When it comes to our business tax, we have to build up our business corridors. As mentioned, McDonald Avenue, Cutting Boulevard, Hilltop, 23rd Street, Rumrail, San Pablo Ave, San Pablo Dam Road. These are all opportunities for us to increase our income. And utility users, as I always joke, until we figure out how to get a check from Netflix and Hulu, I'm still working on that one.
Okay, this is from another reader. They said they pay $14,000 a year in property tax, and yet streets are damaged and potholed. Parks are far and few between and old. They don't feel safe in all neighborhoods, and there aren't things to do in the city. What are your plans to improve the value of services we expect and pay for? And we're starting with Mark.
Well, I said, take a look right down the street here. What do you see? Potholes, right? About 10 years ago, Richmond passed to clean up the potholes, right? I think it was some type of bill that Jim Rogers called the people to higher taxes, but the potholes are still not clean, still not filled up. I said, you take a look right down here. It's the most. Hello? You look at downtown Richmond right now, it's look like a third world country. After the 1968 riot that was done, downtown Richmond was done. That's why they built the Hilltop Mall. It's because of the city council there's nothing to do. It's because of the city council you got potholes. It's because of the city council you have no police. The city council, people come up to the city council and complain that they are not safe. It's because of the city council has been doing this. All they want to do is go ahead and it's all about them. It's not about you people. Just take a look around the streets. It's a disaster. It's a scam. They're not going to do nothing for you people. Just look around.
For those of us who have lived in this city as long as I have, or even some of you recently, I've been here since 1960, but really awake 67 to understand what it looked like. We've had great parks. We've had clean streets. But I've lived on the south side most of that time. What has been described about potholes, blight, lack of beautification, even the mayor said on certain streets he mentioned, even his neighborhood, they have those type of lighting. We haven't had that in the south side. We need a comprehensive program to talk about what it looks like, what are the hot bread and butter issues that are taking place today. Meet with each district, talk about what their priorities are, do an overlay, and talk about, do we actually have the staff to do it? It's my understanding we just had another member of our Public Works Department leave. We do not staff appropriately across our organization, our business, to take care of the business. It's not just saying those things or being the mayor. It's taking care of people in your charge. We fail to do that no matter what zip code you're in. Ask the people in the marina about lighting landscape. It's the same study about Cutting Boulevard that our weeds are taller than most of your young children.
When I got to the city, the year before, there was a $19 million in deficit. Hiring freeze a lot. So I focus on having a better financial situation in the city. Now we had that. So now what we had done for that, we focus on public works. We are hiring more staff. So before we had just one crew to trim all the trees. Now we had 3 crews. We improved, we brought more people to maintain the parks all over the city. We went from $4 million to $10 million in pavement every year. So you are going to start seeing that in the years to come. We just this last year, we approved $6 million into a program that I and Council Member Robinson created, which is the street calming program. $6 million that is going to be there to make our streets safety. And we had done that. We right now have 20% in savings in the city. Before we have only 12%. So this is what we have been doing.
Yeah, $14,000 in property taxes. That's why in my previous answer I did not mention increasing property taxes. The school district has already done a number there. When it comes to improving services that people pay for, that's why when I was on the council, I authored the Reparations, Equity, and Inclusion Package. And in addition to addressing some of the social issues that communities of color and other communities have faced throughout the history of the city of Richmond, it was also to address some of the infrastructure disparities that each communities have also faced as well. This helped lay the groundwork for the policy changes for some of the things that we are seeing today here in the city of Richmond. Also, want to continue to fill those vacancies that are taking place throughout the city and hold employees accountable. As someone who works from home and have the opportunity to drive through the city during the day, I shouldn't see employees at home in the middle of the day. We want to make sure that employees are working and that individuals are filling their obligations, their contractual obligations to the city of Richmond.
Every improvement in the city requires money. We know that. But it also requires thoughtful processes and good workers. We have been hiring quality people under the 4 years that I've been mayor. That's why you see all the improvements. And not only that, we are able to engage local organizations such as Urban Tilth. We have Groundwork Richmond, planting trees. In fact, if you go down Castro, you'll see that there's a line of trees that have been planted. We're planting trees all over. We're making street improvements. And we have workers who are feeling appreciated. And because they feel appreciated, they are working harder. We are hiring more people. As was mentioned before, we have more police than we had before. And they're not just any police. Our chief has been making sure that the police that he hires are quality.
I want you to go right over at Bart. There's a lady that been
Okay. Sorry, it's you. We started with you. Okay, and for this question, we're gonna start with Ahmad and go right down to Mark. It's another reader question, and the reader is asking about your vision where you see Richmond economically and culturally 2 years from now. But the reader has a very specific question. Just wants you to name just one essential change that you think needs to be made in city government to achieve your vision.
The issue, the number one focus of my vision is a public health issue. Not feeling safe in your community does not lead to being able to provide economic development, which leads to workforce development. We don't just need jobs. We need quality opportunities for careers, for working families to provide benefits. When you do that as well, such as AI coming here to our city, at some point you need to provide housing. Housing that's not just affordable, but reasonable. In addition to that, housing for our workforce, for our teachers, and for our nurses in the community. That is a plan. That is my vision. That is solid if you have the innovation and creativity and leadership to step up and step in and talk about not doing tactical things during election season, but putting together a strategy that is transparent, accountable, and you can come back and say what it looks like and what you've done. Accomplishments are not just achievements, they're delivering on the promise.
I want to start making what we are going to be visioning for the downtown in the McDonald Avenue Task Force. So having the plan and having the projects in place to start making that vision. We are talking about short and middle and long term. The short term, we are bringing it in few months, some of these agenda items. So in 2 years, we will have more of that vision coming through, supporting the small businesses here, and having to start the process for housing developments. And for that, we need to strengthen our staffing in housing, because we had just 1 or 2 people in the staff for housing. We need to have a real housing department that can take that vision and move it forward. Thank you.
My vision for Richmond's economic and cultural short 2-year goal is really Sankofa, bringing what's good from the past into the present for a benevolent future, and really focused on Richmond 2050, setting us up for Richmond 2050. Your next mayor is going to have to lead us through our general plan, and that general plan is where we put into place the policies that talk about the housing, the business, and the infrastructure that we're going to have moving forward. And in order to achieve those things, we need change at the top. And that's why I'm running, to make sure that we have the proper leadership to direct us through that. So as we prepare for Richmond 2050, the city that our grandkids, the city that our great-grandkids are going to live in, I want to make sure that we are having real, robust conversations about what we're doing presently and the policies that are going to impact them in the future.
If you've noticed the changes in Richmond over the past 4 years, you would know that we do have the leadership that we need to move us forward. I am interested in developing McDonald Avenue, not only economically, but also culturally. We have the Renaissance, which is looking at making McDonald Avenue 23rd a cultural spot for music, the arts, and I also want to pass a vacancy property tax, which will entice vacant property owners to improve their properties, and these taxes I envision to be used as a carrot or funds to help those property owners to improve their properties. So it will be a win-win not only for the city of Richmond but also for the property owners.
So my vision is getting rid of the government we have right now in the city. The RPA, they got to go. For the last 20 years, they've been supporting people being criminals, passing law for people being criminals, till the police don't enforce the law. Sure, they talk about how they're going to make Richmond great again. They're going to have trees and bike paths and all this other stuff. I said, you look at the homeless people, they're everywhere. They're urinating, they're crapping all around the city, even at City Hall. Go to City Hall. You see the city council doing anything? No. Every time the police try to enforce the law, they tell them to stop. They want to make Richmond a homeless catman. They got Motel 6. They got the other catman over there across the street from Grip. They want all these homeless people coming in. They want all these illegal immigrants to stay here. I said, my vision is have a new government that's going to respect our constitutional laws and stop all this nonsense with all this crime and homelessness that's in our city.
All right, we are now to the most exciting part of the night because I'm sure we're going to have lots of questions from our audience members. Is that right? Everybody has their question ready. So the way, as to remind you, the way that we'll do that is you can raise your hand, or if you completed a card, we're happy to have a volunteer pick it up, and Christine and I can ask those for you. Okay. So we'll go ahead and begin. So I think that's Joe over there. Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Hi, this is a question about housing. As you know, the AstraZeneca site has been suggested for housing. Who among you support building housing there without cleaning it up to residential standards?
Do you want a show of hands?
Yes.
Do you want to ask your question again? I'm sorry.
The AstraZeneca site has not been cleaned up at all. It was originally supposed to be cleaned to residential standards. That has been downgraded. So at present, you will be housing people on a toxic waste dump where they cannot plant a tree or let their children play on the ground. Who among you supports this present non-residential standard cleanup of the AstraZeneca site?
Okay. Who approves the cleanup as proposed of the AstraZeneca site? Please raise your hand. I see no hands.
And,
Thank you.
I would add that there should be nothing built there until it's cleaned up 100%.
I will say also that they were in the city council a high cleanup, but then it was downgraded. And downgraded in a way that in the first floor, there is nothing that can be built. So we cannot be saying that we are going for the higher standard when in the city council you approved that. I wasn't there, but other council members here were there. And we cannot allow to build houses when they said that in the first floor, nothing can be built. Nothing can be built. So we need, and this is a super fun site. So we need to make sure that if it's clean at the higher standard where we feel safe to build on the first floor, and if not, we should not be building in that site, period.
So, transparency, in 2020 when I ran for city council, I was approached by some folks for some consulting to develop in that area. I was approached after, as Claudia said, the city council had voted to approve the development there. As she mentioned, there's one person sitting here that was part of that voted for that. When I became chair of the Economic Development Commission and I learned more, I recognized that that place should never be built on ever in life. Ever in life. I'm now active with Janet Johnson, the Shoreline Alliance. I've done tours with her. I've spoken on behalf. I've worked with her with the Richmond Connect Foundation to find additional funding to ensure that we take care of our properties, that we make sure that environmental justice is done. And to be clear, in that community, I grew up in that community. I used to play on those hills when it was not to be pros and cops and robbers in that area. And so I'm firmly against it, and I don't think it will ever be cleaned up.
The question is, who downgraded it? Did the state? Well, actually, he doesn't have no power anyway. I mean, if the state downgraded it, okay, they're going to build. If not, don't build. All right.
DTSC recently did a report that it was low. The standards had improved slightly, and that was done 2 weeks ago.
Let's stay in order. Let's give everyone a chance here. Gotcha. No worries.
I was going to say, when I was on the council, is the interpreter ready? All right. When I was on the council, yes, I did vote to improve this, to move forward with the site, because the same organization that was just mentioned had given us the recommendation to move forward with it. It's quite funny that now the same organization is being quoted and like being referenced as this enigma on the board. This was something that we most definitely thought about in depth, because across from that site sits Crescent Park, which is a predominantly African American low-income community. And no one can tell me what would happen to the dust that was flying from that site into Crescent Park. Correct. And no one to this day still can tell me that. So if you're gonna reference me or any vote that I made, say the whole story. Let's not be scary in front of the people. Let's tell the whole truth and nothing but. I am most definitely for making sure that the site, why would I want my family members living on a toxic site? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I have a question card I can go to next. What, from the audience here right now, what can be done to address the camping and dumping along the Loney Greenway from San Pablo to Carlson? We can start with Claudia.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. This question is about the problem with camping, I'm guessing unhoused folks, and dumping along the Loney Greenway from San Pablo to Carlson.
Yeah. So I recognize this is a problem, and we have been working on that. We need to put more dumping sites that we can't approach the residents, but it's also that there is an enforcement, because what we have found is that a lot of the dumping that is coming from outside. So we need to have an enforcement there. The unhoused is an issue that we have not only there, but in other parts. And this is why we have been investing. Since I got there, we started putting money over to, like almost $2 million every year to fund organizations like SOS to do housing intervention. We also just kind of like here in this report moving forward that we got from the city manager yesterday, we put like $14.5 million into the into transitional housing in Motel 6. We are going to create 50 transitional housing, and I think that is the kind of project that we need to continue.
Okay, Damlis.
All right. Well, first of all, we need to update our camping ordinance, because we shouldn't have individuals camped out with their entire life spread in front of the Social Security building in downtown Richmond. As we increase the number of beds, we need to make sure that those beds are occupied. We need to make sure that individuals are not exposing themselves to our children as they walk to and from school during the day. We need to make sure that individuals on the council understand that the quality of life is diminished, and that our creekways and waterways are contaminated when people camp near them and put feces and human waste into them. Now, I know Councilmember Dr. Jamila Brown brought forth a proposal to update our camping ordinance, but Councilmember Jimenez and Mayor Martinez refused to move forward with it. I'm not sure why. Maybe they can explain that here tonight. But you don't have a right to camp on the street. You don't have a right to bring down the quality of life for all residents. We will make sure that you have a bed, and we will make sure that you are removed with dignity, but we will not allow you to sleep on the street, defecate in our waterways, and expose yourself to our children.
We are doing what is possible with the funds that we have. The places that Mr. Wasberg referred to, one of them across the street from GRIP is for young people. It is tiny homes for young people who have been displaced. They need a place to stay. They need a safe space. They need a space where they can work together, create community, and learn how to become useful individuals in our society. We also have a lot of people who have mental problems, they have drug problems, and they need help. And that's what the motel is doing, is creating housing with wraparound services to attend to their issues. We have a lot of people who are mentally ill, and we just throw them in jail or push them aside. We need to take care of them. We're only as good as the way we treat our lesser ones.
The city has did nothing to cause the homeless problem. Go over there, look at Bart. She's been urinating and crapping in the same place for almost 3-4 months. City Hall. Go down to the Social Security building down there. Same thing. City ain't doing nothing. They have no ordinance. Police ain't doing nothing. They just let them go. What are you going to do? Put people in homeless? You're going to put people in a home for about the next 20, 30 years and live for free? The more you cater to these people, the more people are going to come. And the city hasn't did nothing. This is why I was telling new people, it's so important to get these young people into a job training program right out of high school so you won't have to be like this. I was homeless for 13 years. I lived in my truck. I know what it is to live on the street. It's no joke. But the city hasn't done nothing. They talk about this, they talk about that. They got homeless people right in front of City Hall. They still haven't did nothing. They're not going to do anything. What are you going to do? Keep on catering to these people? More and more people are going to keep coming.
This is just not a city of Richmond issue. It's a regional issue. We looked at just San Jose, where they've done some things recently, and now we looked at Oakland, where they've changed their encampment policy, where they're just moving folks out. The concern I have is treating people with respect. If we think the move is, as we just heard from Councilman Jimenez, about moving Richmond forward, about the $14.5 million, think about the fact that each unit is $300,000. From ground up, a house, affordable housing, is $500 to $800. Are we financially doing the right thing and putting money where it should appropriately be done? Should we not be connecting with the county and our state legislators to be able to assist us with that process? We're not focusing on what needs to be done in one area or others areas. We have issues in Point Richmond, we have issues in the marina, and issues throughout central Richmond, as you know. This needs to be addressed even in Hilltop, in that area. One-stop shop fix-its is not the way. Talking about it today without a plan and most of a strategy sounds like most of the planning that we do presently, and that's led to dead ends and no progress.
More audience questions? We
got
would
a
love to
question
hear
here.
from you. Yeah.
Oh God. My name is Hector Perez, senior student at John F. Kennedy High, president of the Daily Eagle over there, which is our school newspaper, and also the host of our Kennedy podcast. Quickly, we know that the mayor doesn't have direct control over school funding or policy, but what could y'all do as mayor to work with the school board and community members to improve Richmond's public schools?
We'll start with Demlis.
No, yeah, great question. And I look at what Brandon Scott has done in the city of Baltimore in terms of providing more opportunity to our students. As a former Richmond High School scout and current employee for Rocket Ship Public Schools, our youth are extremely important to me. I actually got my start coming back in the city of Richmond working with our youth. So keeping our community centers open and making those, once again, as I mentioned before, a source of a community source where students can go, whether that's for homework help or mental health help, or just get away and have a basketball game or a soccer game and meet, right? Also making sure that we have a more robust youth works program, ensuring that students aren't being employed at low wages and are only receiving a certain amount of hours or low hours, but could actually get in enough hours and enough wages to actually make an impact in their lives as well as in their college education if they choose to go that route. Building on the Richmond Promise and making sure that as individuals matriculate through college that we have a pathway for them to enter into society here in the city of Richmond.
as a elementary school teacher, I advocated for community schools, and Kennedy was actually doing a very good job above all the others. So the building next to the swimming pool was a place where you had mental health, you had daycare for unwed mothers, and you had homework help. There were a lot of things there, but we need to bring the community into the schools so that the schools and the community become one. When I worked at Downer Elementary, we had the school rebuilt, and when we had it rebuilt, we had a community kitchen put in there so that the parents could actually cook food for events at the school. It's all a matter of bringing the two together, and before I became a council member, I was still a teacher. Kennedy was about to be closed, and the city of Richmond gave $3 million to keep Kennedy open. So, and then Claudia and I supported the teachers when they went on strike. We need to make sure that the city and the schools are one entity working together.
But what I can understand is the school board is controlled by the county and the state. So the mayor does have the city does have some impact on the schools, all right? But the question is, who runs the schools? People who run in the schools, they're gonna decide on how the schools are run and how much money they're gonna get, right? I mean, when I went to Richmond High, we had all kinds of stuff. We had so many programs, we didn't know what to do with ourselves. After school programs, we had track and field after events we could go to. But the bottom line is, it all depends on how much money that they're gonna get from the city, from the state, and the county, so they can so you could have these programs. What I see these kids, I don't know what in the world you guys are gonna get into when you get out of high school. You know, I mean, we had shop, we had auto mechanics, we had everything in school. But now, I don't know what even you guys are teaching, right? Computers, they closed down all the shops. They closed down all the automotive programs. I don't know if you even have that at Kennedy High School.
Thank you, Mark.
One of the things that needs to be really re-implemented, not a reboot, because a reboot would just have us just what we're talking about, but a reset, is having a real firm liaison representative from the council that's involved with the school district. Not only involved to the standpoint of just showing up to the meetings, but being able to give a report back to the city and what the role and responsibilities are. Being able to have also members from the high schools on the youth council, really advocating and branding what's important to them in this day and age. If we really had that in place, then it would have been reactive and more proactive when Stige, which I'm alumni of, shut down, when it was poorly taken care of, hazardous waste. It would have also been able to step up for Kennedy when money was moved around to other super schools and not in the South Side where I've lived in. What I saw was the mayor step up for the cake cutting and the ribbon cutting and the cameras, but I've lived there all my life, so I know what is true and what is what is not true. Representation means showing up all the time.
I think we are doing things, like for instance, we just reauthorized 3% of our general fund going to kids and youth and children's. And that is something that we need to encourage to work together with the school district and the community organizations to bring more programming in the schools. But I also agree that community schools is a way also to do, and San Pablo did a good job, and we should follow that they put money, allocate money to bring resources and more programming to the schools in San Pablo. We should be doing that. But also we created 500 youth jobs that we will need to connect with the youth in the schools. The youth job start at 16 years old and is at 26 years old, getting paid $20 bucks an hour. And it gives some ideas. So we need to connect that and improve, and it's not 500, it needs to be double or triple. Thank you.
Okay, we are right at time. We want to make sure the candidates have time to do a closing statement. So we'll get to that now.
Okay, so we're going to ask each candidate to take 1 minute for a closing statement. And this time, we're going to go in reverse order than we did the last time. So it will be Mark, Eduardo, Demlis, Claudia, and Ahmad. You can start, Mark, please.
Well, hopefully you'll put me as mayor, because the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of that corrupt police chief. That's the first thing I'm going to go. He's going to be out the door. And I'm not going to have a bunch of corrupt cops running around here killing and beating and threatening people and violating their constitutional rights. That ain't going to happen. And second of all, you don't put people in office that's going to be supporting being criminals who want to stop law enforcement for doing their jobs. This is what the RPA is doing. This is what the city council is doing. You don't do these things when you're in our government. If you're not going to respect our constitutional law, Anderson, you have no right being in our government. We know time and time again this is what the RPA has done. You don't do these things. You respect all constitutional laws that you took an oath to. If you're not going to respect our constitutional laws, you have no business being in our government. Now, I'm going to say, how in the world do you people could come up here, the city council meeting, and say, we want the RPA, we don't want no police. We want to support illegal immigrants. Our country was not to be like this. So you better learn how to respect our constitutional laws.
Thank you, Mark.
You want a leader who is humble, respectful, thoughtful. That's me. I own up to my mistakes, and I praise the people around me. We want someone who's positive, someone who can make the city proud, someone who can make everyone feel appreciated. That's me. I am a candidate of the people, not of organizations, but of the people. The reason I'm here is because I've had citizens from all over Richmond say, are you running? Ask, are you running? And when a majority of the people that I run into ask me that, my answer has to be yes. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I hope you'll vote for me.
Once again, I'd like to thank the organizers of tonight's forum, and once again, the audience, our neighbors, for coming out and sharing in this conversation with us. As mentioned, my name is Demlis Johnson III, and I'm running to be your mayor of Richmond, California. I'm a former Richmond City Council member and former vice mayor. We talked a little bit about my record here tonight, but I want you to go and I want you to look for yourself. I am the only individual on this panel tonight who, as a council member, has been able to get unanimous decisions on a number of policies. That means I know how to bring individuals together. I know how to work across party lines. I know how to work in communities that don't look like me, but we all come from Richmond, so we all have the same goal in mind. I am your next mayor, and I plan to continue to work on your behalf and fight for the future of this city. Thank you once again for your time. Please feel free to visit me at johnsonforrichmondmayor.com, and I look forward to your vote on June 2nd. Thank you for your time.
Gracias por estar aquí. Richmond, this election is about trust and choosing leadership with proven results. On the city council, I have helped to get the city into better financial stability. I also fought the Wall Street and made the polluters pay $550 million for the city. We are moving forward, as the city manager is saying, and you can bring this or download it from the website. We need somebody who has been, as a community, organizing, strategizing with all of you, bringing resources to the community. This is what I had done as a community organizer, and this is what I brought to the city council, and this is what I want to continue to do as a mayor. I believe that Richmond has great days to come, and I want to be your next mayor to lead that Richmond brighter future and continue to move forward. Thank you.
We keep passing the mic to one another because we've had to do that throughout it. Doing like that. Thank you, Richmondside. Thank you, community. Thank you, stakeholders, for being here and being a part of this. You're the reason I'm running for mayor. Giving back to my community is the rent you pay to live on this earth. I've lived that all my life. I ran for city council when I was 25, and I lost by the numbers, but I learned. You have to do all you can do, be all you can be, and build relationships in the community. That's what I've done. I've proven that through Economic Development Commissioner, Workforce Planning, Youth Service Bureau, Child Care Council, boards throughout the city, not just giving money, but showing what we can do together. I'm here for you. I am a reflection you see in the mirror. Unlike Mr. Wasberg saying that we're splitting the vote, I am your crossover candidate. I'm your Swiftie, I'm your Beehive, I'm your Michael Jackson, I'm your Prince. I'm your voice. Our actions collectively matter. Ahmad Anderson for mayor in your city, the city of pride and purpose.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you, candidates. That was fun, right? Okay. Thank all of you for coming out, for choosing this event over the gubernatorial debate. We're honored. We have two more. We want to remind you of that. We have Council District 3 and 4 forums on May 7th and on May 13th. And you're welcome, and you're encouraged to come back for those. And let's have a round of applause for our awesome interpreters. That's a hard job. Thank you.
Don't forget to vote.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Can we invite you to come back? Picture here?
You know to say that.
They do what they do. Like,
One more question.
I know, you were right. You were right. No, you're right. We should have. But I was mindful of that little conversation. And it was
Now they have a minute to go up to them.
Yeah, true. Hi.